Okay, good afternoon. So today we are going to see a second practical determination of thermal conductivity of metal rod. So just a moment. So in a thermal conductivity of metal rod, so as in a previous practical we find the thermal conductivity of insulating powder. So using the simplest equation, that is Q is equal to dt by thermal resistance. From that only we find out the thermal conductivity. So likewise, to find out the thermal conductivity of metal rod. Now in this, the metal rod having a material copper. So we will calculate the thermal conductivity of that metal rod. This is basic theory, and this manual write-up is already available on our college website. So you can have complete write-up, practical write-up there. Now the pure copper, the copper material is there itself in our equipment also, but for pure copper, the thermal conductivity is 390 watt per meter Kelvin, and this thermal conductivity is calculated at 20 degrees centigrade. Okay, and there are different material, brass, steel, stainless steel, but as our equipment having a copper, so we will focus only on copper. Now in metal, the main phenomena of heat conduction is due to the transpose of free electrons. Correct? So might be possible that much portion is covered in your theory. So heat is a transfer in solid by two phenomena. Either your external outside orbit electrons get energized and they actually transpose from hot region to cold region, and during their shifting they carry the energy. That means heat. So heat is transfer. So that phenomena is a transpose of free electrons. Second is the hot end, that molecules get vibrate, and due to that vibration the nearby molecule get energized, because during vibration they strike to near molecules and that impart the energy. So layer by layer, due to the vibration of molecules, energy imparted to next layer, and likewise your heat is transferred from cold end to hot end to cold end. So there are two phenomena of heat transfer in conduction. So either transpose of free electrons or vibration of lattice. Now here transpose of free electrons playing the majority role in heat transfer. But transfer of free electrons reduces as your lattice vibration increase. So as your molecules vibrating, so they abstract the path to flow the free electrons. So remember, very important statement is, for metal, when we heat up a metal, its thermal conductivity is reduced. So in this case, when we are talking about a 20 degree centigrade temperature, that time our thermal conductivity is 390. Suppose I heat up this pure copper to 40 degree centigrade, so its thermal conductivity will not increase, it will decrease, it will lesser than 390. And why it is happens? Because heat transfer by free electrons is reduced. That part, that portion of heat transfer due to free electron get reduced. Why reduced? Because lattice vibration, all molecules get vibrate at a very fast rate, and they prevent these free electrons to pass through the gap between the two molecules. So heat transfer rate by free electrons get reduced. So whenever any material we heated, so as temperature increases, its thermal conductivity value decreases for metal, especially metal. There might be possible one or two metal are exceptional, but most of the cases with increase in temperature, thermal conductivity of metal reduces. Okay, this is a standard value. 20 degree centigrade, we got a 390 watt per meter Kelvin for pure copper, and this experiment is conducted under standard working condition and on standard working equipment, which is highly calibrated. Our lab equipment is not that much highly calibrated. Our environment is that not under control conditions. This is normal atmospheric conditions. Okay, so might be possible we don't get the exact value, but as the material is copper, so we should be nearby 390, plus or minus doesn't matter, but your value must be nearby 390. Okay, now what is internal construction of this equipment? So there is a one copper rod. Okay, this copper rod shaded, one end of copper rod is fitted at heater end, that's mean heating coil is there, and opposite end is circulated with cooling water jacket. So cooling water enter, circulate around this second end, carry out heat, and this water become preheated at elevated temperature and preheated water moving out. So cooling water inlet temperature and cooling water outlet temperature, there will be a temperature rise. Why we maintain two ends at different conditions, one at heating end, second at cooling end, so that heat will transfer from heating to cooling side. So definitely heat will transfer from heater end to cooling end. And accordingly, when we check out the thermocouple readings, so T1 thermocouple is nearer to heater, so definitely its value will be higher. Then T2 little bit lesser, T3 again lesser. Likewise, when we measure the temperatures, so temperature we found decreasing from T1 to T9. Okay. Now this rod, some portion, one end inserted in heaters, second end inserted in cooling water, and middle portion exactly length 200 mm. This is the test length. This length is covered by insulation and outer covering. So heat will not transfer radially. This is not possible. We are assuming only linear heat transfer. That means along the length. So surrounding it is insulated and whole test length is covered under one shell. All these thermocouples connected to temperature indicator, and then we can check out what is the temperature of particular thermocouple. So here we have a 9 thermocouple on test length, and each thermocouple is separated by 2 centimeter distance. 10th thermocouple measuring inlet water temperature and 11th thermocouple measuring outlet water temperature. And it takes some time. As soon as I start the heater, it is not possible that heat will reach to the cooling end, and your cooling end there will be a temperature difference of cooling water inlet and outlet. No, it is not possible. At least you have to wait for 30-40 minutes, so that heat will slowly transfer to second end. When second end get heated, then the cooling water extract the heat from second end. Then we observe there is a temperature difference in inlet and outlet of cooling water. As soon as we start the equipment, there will be no temperature readings, no temperature changes. So remember, whenever we perform this experiment, our waiting period is 30 minutes. After waiting period, we have to start note down our readings. 30 minutes. Okay. 30 minutes. 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 Now safety precautions. So we must check out dimmer stats should be at 0 position before starting, switch on our equipment. So never rotate your dimmer stat very fastly. It should be gradually increase. Maximum voltage 250. So don't exceed it. So voltage limit kept in between 50 to 100. Okay, whenever you perform the experiment, never exceed. I think 150 is also much more. So never exceed the 100. Then procedure. So in procedure, we have to start our equipment, and then with the help of a dimmer stat, we have to set some particular voltage. Accordingly, we get a current value. When we multiply current and voltage, so we can say this much amount of heat is supplied, but the heat supplied is not equal to the heat transfer. So how much heat is transferred to second end, so that will be calculated from the temperature difference of cooling water. So when we set particular voltage, corresponding current will be displayed. Then we have to start the cooling water, and cooling water we have to maintain some flow rate about 350 ml per minute. It might be 300 ml per minute. So never go more than 350 ml per minute. Otherwise, your end will be always remain undercooled, and you never got the temperature difference of cooling water inlet and outlet, because flow is that much high. So there will be not enough temperature difference, because high flow rate easily carries some heat and move on, but the temperature rise will not be that much, so calculation parts will be affected then. So always remember, at the most 350 ml per minute, most commonly 300 ml per minute, you have to maintain the flow rate. How to check? So when we operate our knob, cooling water knob, so we have to measure the flow rate in any beaker, and with the help of stopwatch, and 1 minute it must be nearby 300 ml. Then after 30 minutes waiting period, we have to note down our readings. Readings will be from T1 to T11. In this T1 to T9, this thermocouple mounted on actual test length of our copper rod. T10 is water inlet temperature, T11 is water outlet temperature. Okay, so this is the procedure. Now in observation, what is given in your manual? So in observation, it is said that the metal rod is having a material copper. Total rod length is 350, in which there is some portion inserted in heater, some portion inserted in cooling water jacket. So our exact test length is 200 mm. Diameter of rod is given 25 mm. Specific heat of water, so it is a standard value, so 4.187 kilojoule per kg Kelvin. So we just use that standard value. Now input voltage, we will put the value of input voltage here and corresponding current here, but in calculation we are not taking a heat transfer is equal to V into I. We will take heat transfer is equal to how much heat extracted by cooling water, that is our Q. Next, last, flow rate of cooling water. So whatever be the flow rate we maintain, we have to write down here. A liter per second or kg per second, as it is a water. So it is assumed that 1 liter is equal to 1 kg. Okay. And remember, never go more than 300 ml per minute, more than that. This is our observation table. So this 10 minutes means after waiting period of 30 minutes. So after 30 minutes, next 10 minutes, we will note down our first reading. Then next 20, 30, 40, 50. And we will make a mean or average of all these readings. There are two theories. Many colleges prefer that the last reading is the most steady state condition reading. So they calculate all the values on the basis of last reading. And some standard procedure as per the manual, we have to take an average of all readings. But these readings are assumed that after steady state. But in our case, due to time limit, we never wait for a steady state because it takes about 1 hour or 1.5 hours. So after 30 minutes, we start note down our readings. That is actually not a standard practice. So okay, so we will take a mean of all readings, and on the basis of these mean values we will calculate. Now how to calculate? So calculation, sample calculation is, we have to calculate cooling water mass flow rate first. So in a beaker we will measure in terms of liter per minute, then we can convert into liter per second, never go more than 350 ml per minute. So we will convert here little liter per second, and we assume normal that water 1 liter is equal to 1 kg. So mass flow rate of water is kg per second. So we will note down here. Then heat gained by cooling water or heat transfer rate. So heater is there and heat is transferred from heating end to cold end, and heat is extracted by cooling water. So that much amount of heat is assumed to transfer through the rod. So here, to calculate q, we are not taking v into I, we are calculating q is equal to mcp delta t. So mass of water flow rate we know, kg per second. Cp of water, it is the standard value, and temperature change or temperature rise in cooling waters, T11 minus T10. So this give us the exact heat flow rate through this rod. So once we know what is the amount of heat flow q, then we will use a basic formula, that is q is equal to dt by r thermal, and r thermal is nothing but dx by ka. How to calculate dt? So q we already calculated from mass flow rate and temperature rise in cooling water. For dt, so we are considering T9 minus T1. If we are not taking its a minus sign, so T1 minus T9. Okay, so dt will be the temperature difference of first thermocouple minus last thermocouple on the test length. So T1 minus T9, if there is no negative sign, if there is a negative sign, then T9 minus T1. What is test length? So it is 200 mm, so in meter, 0.2 meter. Cross sectional area pi by 4 d square, it will calculate it in meter square. Then thermal conductivity, if we are going to calculate thermal conductivity, we have to shift all these terms on second hand side. So q value we know, area we calculated, dt we know, test length we know. So it is easy to find out the thermal conductivity of this copper rod. So this will be our answer. So let's shift to our experimental setup now. So I will join through my mobile and we will go to our experimental setup.
So this is our experimental setup, thermal conductivity of metal rod. So I already switch on our equipment so that it gets some steady state condition. But when we start at the beginning, so our equipment will be like this. We have to switch on main power source. Then with the help of equipment knob, we will switch on the equipment. Then with the help of a dimmer stat, we have to supply the voltage. Voltage will be displayed here and corresponding current on ammeter. So we have to set some voltage, suppose 80 volt. This time suppose I kept 80 volt, and always remember dimmer stat should handle and gradually change. So we kept 80 volt and corresponding current is 0.3. Remember, after some time, when all electrical circuit and wires cables get heated, so our value may be vary little bit. This is temperature knob. We know there are 11 thermocouples. Right now this is showing T1, then T2, T3, T4, T5, T6, T7, T8, T9. So we come to know that T1 having a higher value and T9 lesser value. Now water inlet temperature T10. So room water temperature 35. Water outlet temperature. So there is a rise in temperature water outlet. Where this cooling water is supplied, so this is the cooling end. Where cooling water is enter, and this is a T10 thermocouple. When it is enter into this cooling jacket, there is a rod end. It's surrounded to this rod and preheat and remove out from this outlet. We have to shift this outlet, and from this pipe section we have to measure flow rate. So at the beginning we have to set the flow rate of our cooling water. Once it is set, then never change it throughout the experiment. So after 30 minutes waiting period, we will again move on, then check all the readings, again 1 to 11. So likewise, we have to note down minimum 3, maximum 5 to 6 readings, okay? And during switch off, when your experiment is over, so what is the procedure? This is also many times asked in your oral exam. So the procedure says we have to first neutralize the dimmer stat, bring back to its initial position. All knobs should be kept at its initial position. Then we have to switch off power supply. And at the end, we have to stop the cooling water. And last, we will power off the main switchboard. So this will be our actual experiment setup. So we will move on to our PPT again.
So we reach to this point where we are able to calculate a thermal conductivity. Now the next point is finding the result. So what is the result? So in result we have to note down what is a cooling water flow rate. As cooling water flow rate gets changed, your whole values get changed. So what is the cooling rate we maintain? What is the heat loss from the metal rod in kilowatt? That means what is the amount of heat extracted by cooling water? We have to write down here. And then what is the final value of thermal conductivity for this cooling rate of water and heat transfer? So remember, cooling flow rate change, Q value change, thermal conductivity will change. So this is not an experiment to find out the final value of K. For this particular flow rate, this much is the amount of heat extraction, and according to this corresponding thermal conductivity will be. And there will be no conclusion. We have to write down a graph. Now in the graph, we have to take a temperature on y-axis T1 to T9. Remember T10, T11 water temperature we should not include in graph. So T1 to T9, and on x-axis there will be a length of test specimen, test length 200 mm, and we know that temperature will drop from T1, T2, T3. So T9 will be the lowest and T1 will be the highest. Now, so I note down some readings for B2 batch. That time I kept voltage 100 volt, corresponding current is 0.371 ampere, and I maintain water flow rate 0.3 liter per second. So you have to take these readings only. Then after waiting period 30 minutes, when I note down first reading, that is 10-minute readings. So temperature T1, T2, T3, T4, T5, T9. So we can observe that from T1 to T9, temperature trend is decreasing as our thermocouple is towards away from the heating. So definitely temperature will be reduced. T10 water inlet temperature 33.8 and water outlet temperature 34.1. So this temperature difference is depend on how much flow rate you kept there. If higher flow rate, so temperature difference will be very less or negligible. So for that we have to maintain 0.3 liter per second. Likewise, I note down 6 readings. Inlet water temperature, mostly there will be a no change. If there is a little bit change, and that is might be possible because at the beginning your equipment is at cold conditions, so temperature may be decreased, but later on we found that inlet water temperature remains same. But outlet water temperature, as the time goes on, so rate of heat transfer will be increased and accordingly outlet temperature will rise. Then we have to take the mean of all readings, and on the basis of these readings we have to calculate the thermal conductivity of our metal rod. And as I said, it is not a standard condition, it is not a calibrated, highly calibrated equipment, it is not under standard environment. So our value never come about 390, as 390 is for 20 degrees centigrade. So definitely these value are higher temperature range. So and the conditions are not standard, so our value will be vary, but it should be in the range of 390 plus minus. Might be possible some readings gives readings negative side 390 minus side, or some readings gives 390 plus sides, but it should be within a range. So this is our second